Welcome to New Way Health Podcast, where we explore topics to enrich your total well-being. Today, we're discussing how to master the art of presence in a distraction-filled world. So this is going to be quite the topic. And I'm Jennifer Gilman, owner of New Way Health Coach, and I've got with me Coach Emily Abshire, Coach Extraordinaire. Before we dive in, Emily, I am curious, how you feeling about today's topic?
It's so funny. I have my phone sitting up and I just got like tons of text messages. I'm like, what am I doing? I need to flip my phone around and put it away. So I'm not, I
Yeah.
need this discussion today.
Yeah. I know as we talk to you guys, every time we coach, and you don't hear the behind the scenes, but Coach Emily and I are like, oh my God, I love coaching because it keeps myself, keeps each other, like keeps me on track. And Emily says the same thing. It's like, it's the best career, right?
Yes.
I love it. But it's the same thing. Like all of a sudden, we'll maybe talk about something in a session. I'm like, oh, I need to do that too. Or it's been a while since I've done that. So it's really fantastic. But this is a really wonderful topic. We're going to go into four segments of it. So I just want to lay that out for all of you. The first segment, we're going to talk about the impact of distraction. Then we'll dive into the benefits of being present. Third, we're going to talk about techniques, which I know you're really excited to hear some techniques to cultivate the art of being present. And then lastly, overcoming barriers to being present, which at time of recording, it's November 21st, 2024. And there's been a lot of distractions over the last couple months. So if you're tuning in sooner than later, you get what we mean. But honestly, it's always distraction. So let's dive in. Impact of distraction. I'm curious, Emily, what do you see? Because you also are registered nurse, so you're a nurse and you've had this robust career working with patients for so long, and now have been a coach for quite some time. What do you notice when people are so distracted? What's the impact on their health?
Mm. I have multiple clients right now affected with screen time and sleep.
Mm,
And as we know, sleep is one of the most foundational habits of health. And I cannot emphasize how important it is to put away your screens and that distraction at night to impact positively your sleep.
yeah. Yeah, I just spoke with some attorneys a week ago actually about sleep in general. We like blew up the topic, and it's really affecting their sleep, but it's also these distractions. If we don't remain present, it affects our focus and productivity, which is another thing. And then if you're not getting, it's like a cascading effect. If you're not getting sleep, right? Then you're not being able to perform in your job and be the best that you can be. So productivity is a really big thing too. Um, do you have any, I don't, the screen time, any like stats at all? I didn't dig up any on my own, but I'm just curious because you love statistics. So please share if you do.
Yes. I do. So according to the National Sleep Foundation, more than half Americans regularly use an electronic device 1 hour before they go to bed. And that is harming their sleep. And they're doing more and more research about how that is affecting our sleep, which then affects the work productivity, your
Yeah.
insulin, your cortisol levels for the whole next day.
Yeah.
Did
Oh, go ahead.
go, let me tell you this one. It's also decreasing our attention span. And so when we have a decreased attention span, we can't be present. And I actually have two clients right now that come to my mind. We are actually just working on being present in the moment. And then immediately the conversation goes, well, what do you think is robbing you of being present? And it's the phone.
Yeah.
And and so our attention span, so the treetop.com said 8.2 8.25 seconds is an average attention span of an adult.
Wow. Can you repeat
Nine,
that for a second?
yeah, 8.25 seconds is the average attention span for an adult. A
That's,
goldfish has a 9 second
oh my
attention span.
You guys, we can do better. We can beat the goldfish. Come on. I'm rallying you all for this challenge if you're listening.
Isn't that phenomenal?
That is crazy. Yeah, it's so important. Our health and well-being, if we want to live a long, healthy, vital life, one with vitality and energy, it's important, right? It's important to focus on this presence, being present in the moment. I remember I have to say this like back in, I don't know, I'm Gen X, right? So our mantra for a while was like multitasking is king or queen, right? Like, yes, the better I am at multitasking, I'm awesome, right? We would shout
Mhm.
it from the rooftops. No longer, right now, the science is in, it's showing like that's horrible for you. But yeah, it was something we used to be proud of.
Yeah, a lot of pride
Yeah.
in multitasking.
Yeah. So the
Mhm.
impact, I mean, it could really, and not even to mention like then all of a sudden going into potential high blood pressure, chronic health issues, I mean, all this starts happening, inflammation. Before you know it, you're like, what? I have an autoimmune disease? How did this happen? So this is just one piece of it, but it's really important. And I think when we're present, the impact of our nervous system. When we are present, the impact of our nervous system is calm. When we're in that parasympathetic nervous system, we can heal. But when we're
Yeah.
not, we can't.
You're talking about that autonomic system, right? Which
Yes.
which we do without thinking. Just like when
Mhm.
we breathe or blink our eyes, we do that without thinking. And when we're constantly stressed because we're distracted and we have all the stimuli, we're constantly in that sympathetic state, that fight and
Yes.
flight. And then
Yeah.
our adrenal glands get fatigued, our thyroid, and that your blood pressure, what everything that you're saying.
Yeah. And I've felt it. I've had my journey of burnout and thyroid autoimmune disease, so I can speak personally, but also from helping many people. So we understand now the impact is very big. It's very vast. So let's go into the next segment of benefits of being present. Um, so what are the benefits? Like we talked a little bit about, so we can have our peace and calm, our body can heal itself, right? But what else? What else would you want our listeners to hear about this, of the benefits of being present?
I think that what comes to my mind is when I just recently coached a client about the benefits of being present. We really focused on relationships, the people around her. And part of her goal that we set up for that session was to be intentional about being with her loved ones. And that she noticed that she was actually robbing herself from the screen time or TikTok or just not enjoying the moments that she had with her loved ones. And it really struck her that the distractions are stealing my quality of time with my relationships and I want them deeper. They don't feel genuine
Hmm.
because I'm not allowing myself to be present in the moment with the person that I absolutely love. And that's powerful
Yeah.
when you recognize and have that insight of I'm so distracted that I can't be present with this person that I value and I love.
Yeah.
Deeper relationships is a huge benefit.
I'm glad you brought that up because I've been coaching more and more through our, health and well-being coaching on relationships, how to have a better relationship and what does that mean? What does that look like? How could I get better at it? And unfortunately, it's something that we weren't brought up with. It wasn't taught often by our parents. Some parents, yes, some parents, no, but it wasn't really supported and talked about in school. Like, how do you have a good friendship? Like it just isn't talked about. And I think it needs to be elevated education wise, but we do a lot of that coaching because many people are feeling alone and unheard. So one of the best thing to do is become a great example, right? Of being present and start that possibility of I can have a good relationship, but first it's time for me to work on how I treat others. How do I work on relationship? Because often if um, you know, really set the course and walk the talk, guess what happens? They respond really positively and they start doing the same thing. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
it's really interesting.
with you're talking about how it starts with us, right? You said that um, part of that goal that we had set up for this client was to remain in that curiosity of her loved one.
Yeah.
Be curious about that person and how that sort of changes our moment in time and that perception that we have that valuable 1 or 2 hours with that loved person is I need to remain curious,
Yes.
which then
Yep.
doesn't have any room for judgment.
That's right. I love that. It's almost like the anecdote to judgment is like instead think, how can I be curious? So if you do feel, if you're in that moment, you guys, where you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I sound so judgy, right? Really try to flip your thought very quickly and be like, wait a minute, how can I get curious? How can I be curious? And then you start asking questions and you deepen your listening. So that helps so much. It's a little hack you can try. So I really like that, we went down this road of the relationships, but certainly improved focus, less
Mm.
anxiety. It's just there's so much less stress, which is has massive benefits then on the rest of your body physiologically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, it hits all the boxes, right? How about moving into our third segment, techniques to cultivate presence? Because I know you guys listening, you're like, all right, now what can I do? How do I actually do this? We gave you one little example just now of how to switch that, of feeling judgment. If you notice how often that we feel that we judge. And by the way, judging is something we all do. You are not alone. I do it. Emily does it. We all do it. It's something, unfortunately, it's hard to get rid of, right? But there's three forms of it too: judging ourselves, judging others, and judging circumstances. And that's part of like a positive intelligence course, but just think of that of like, how do I judge? Am I judging others, judging myself, judging circumstances? What is that? And just observing it for a minute, not taking it on, but just observing it and be like, all right, how can I get curious? But what other techniques can people do to cultivate presence to stay ahead of it?
Mm. Yeah, you're talking about being intentional or already creating a daily habit, which comes to my mind of deep breathing,
Yes.
remembering to not hold our breath. We must deep breathe, which helps us stay into that parasympathetic state,
Hmm.
that calm state. And then I love the mindfulness about walking,
Hmm.
slowing down, um, eating mindfully, eating slowly, right? Enjoying the flavors that are going into your mouth.
Hmm.
Uh, like taking time and actually, or if you're holding a warm cup of coffee or
Yeah.
tea, and like just tapping into that and like that warmth. And what does it do
Yeah.
to me? Just being the in that moment, that present moment, the sensations you have, maybe it's visual, the smell, the touch, actually tapping into those senses,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
cultivating those techniques of what does it mean to be present in this moment and not thinking about your to-do list, which is
Right.
5 minutes away.
Right, right. It'll be there. It'll be there when you're ready to pick it up. The eating, I wanted to touch on that a little bit because mindful eating can be hard in this
Mhm.
distraction-filled world, right? But a way to start is just pick a meal where it might be easier, right? Breakfast and lunch might not be the best choices for you to start this process of mindful eating. It might be dinner. So think about the meal that you have the best chance of success, and then choose it and commit to yourself of I am going to sit at the table and maybe make it fun. Put a candle on or put some fresh flowers, put a tablecloth, like actually make it enticing to sit at the table, which for some of you may have to clear it off because right now it's piles. There's just piles. You're using your dining room table or kitchen table as a storage facility. So I really encourage you to clear it off and be ready to sit at the table. You will feel so much peace doing this and really committing to it. And then if you've got family, tell them what you're doing, that you want to have family dinner. You want to hear about how their day was, and no phones at the table. No phones at the table. So that alone is going to be a big start. But trust me on this, you will be thanking us. You'll be like, I started doing that. And it's like, that's the moment of my day. I feel peace and calm. that's the moment of the day, right? And then you can allow
Yeah.
that to creep into breakfast and lunch if you're able to do that. But just think about one meal a day. Think small. Don't try to like do all the meals, being eating mindfully. Another thing that a lot of my clients like, and I do too, is when I sit down, I'll look at the meal with open eyes and do a blessing. So you know how a lot of people will pray first before their meal with closed eyes. I actually enjoy leaving my eyes open and doing a blessing over the food and thinking, gosh, I want to bless the hands that made this all happen. And when you eat with your eyes first, it has a calming effect. You immediately start slowing down and then you pick up the fork, you know? So that's another
Interesting.
way to just be present when you're eating. Yeah. But
Real Jen, it brings me to a memory I had a few months ago with a client, and the goal was to sit at the dining room table 3 out of the 7 days for dinner. Just sit at the dining room table.
oh,
The goal was to get a new dining room table and to enjoy it instead of sitting on the couch and eating at a dining room table. It is transformative.
yep.
Um, Having and what you said it a few minutes ago, that environment, right? The not just judging yourself and others, but the environment. It does matter, the environment and how you're eating, upright versus comfortable on a couch, the TV on, your phone
Yeah.
pinging. Um,
Yeah, actually, just even, I love that you said that. Like, versus if you're eating on a couch, think of this. Your stomach is all bunched up. How the heck are you supposed to digest? Eventually, you're going to have digestive issues. So you're not like structurally, your posture's not well. You will eventually have problems, and your system is going to be wrecked. Versus now you think about sitting at the table, 2 feet flat on the floor, you're upright, you have more expansiveness within your stomach area, and you're actually able to digest that food. So it's a big deal, that
it
mindful
is.
eating alone and being present for the food we eat. But what a great side benefit that when you are eating with other people, relationships are better. You're present for them and you're all practicing it together.
Yeah,
That's a huge win-win-win all the way around. I love that.
so
So,
true.
breath work, I just want to make before we go into the next segment, real quick. I know the economy and cost of living is really high, right? Let's just face it, it's hard, right, to buy eggs and things that we need. Breath work is free. Breath work is free, you guys. So, if there's one thing that you focus on or your takeaway from our time together is get better at breath work. Because then when you want to really be present and you're able to do maybe 3, 4 soft belly breaths before you're with somebody and it calms you down, then it's going to help you be present. It will set you up for success. Yeah. So let's
Agree.
dive into the last segment. All right, this is a big one. Overcoming barriers to being present. There's a lot of barriers. So what do you see often, Emily?
Well, since we're talking about it and it comes to my mind is having some rules or guidelines around just keep your bedroom a screen free. Promotes better sleep, be more
Mhm.
present, the ability to deep breathe meditation, gratitude journaling before bedtime, binaural beats is another option, but just having those guidelines, whether they're soft or hard, or maybe they're five, Sunday through Thursday, which we've done before with clients is okay,
Mhm.
Sunday through Thursday, work week, and
Yep.
then Friday and Saturday you can allow. But I find that guideline of no screens in the
Hmm.
bedroom is very
Yes.
powerful.
Yeah. And to expand on that, really, of setting a time where the phone's going to be down, you're not going to check it anymore. Allow yourself time without that light, People are popping melatonin like crazy, and I'm not saying melatonin's bad, but we mess with our circadian rhythm so bad, we're having a deficiency of darkness. So that was something I brought up in my talk around sleep is like I have a darkness deficiency assessment that we use. Like, do you actually not get enough darkness? And that's very real. A lot of people are failing, you know? So it's like, all right, wait a minute. I didn't even think about that part of why I'm not sleeping.
Yeah.
That's something to
Uh,
really
which
consider.
which is another easy tool is just get a real alarm clock.
Yeah.
Not use your cell phone
Yep.
as an alarm clock.
Yes, yes,
Buy
yes.
a real alarm clock
Yeah.
that doesn't have the screen.
Yeah. And you know, a lot of people, this came up in the talk of again being present for your sleep now, right? Being present for yourself because you deserve a good night's sleep. Is if the phone needs to be nearby, most people have a bathroom adjoining to the or next to a bedroom, right? So that's one of the best places if you do need to have your phone nearby versus downstairs or wherever in a further place away, that just in case you need to be able to hear a ring, we'll put it in the bathroom then. You're going to hear it. Don't worry about not hearing it, but getting it out of the bedroom. And the other thing people will say, like, I have a TV, but I never use it. It's in the bedroom. Get it out of the bedroom. There's EMFs. I mean, there's just like, it's causing you to not sleep very well. So trust me, trust us on that one. There's a lot of research on it. So that's one thing. Overcoming barriers. Another thing is the multitasking. I kind of mentioned that a little bit, but I really want to encourage everyone to embrace doing one thing at a time. One thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, we're talking about barriers, right? And challenges around this being present. Jen, I think about also food, the B vitamins, B1s for our brain. If we
Yeah.
lack the nutrients, which another client and I are working on getting the nutrient dense, rich
Mhm.
food that actually promotes that brain, the neurotransmitters of
Mhm.
allowing us to be more present. Because if we're malnourished, our neurotransmitters are all over the place. And it does help when we eat those B complexes and
Yes.
that
Yeah.
those just to coat our nerves with that complex that helps us stay focused and
Yes.
the distractions.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up because food is medicine. It absolutely is. So, are you eating food that's creating problems in this area where you're just like, I've tried all these things, Jen. I can't seem to be present. Well, what are you eating? How are you expending energy during the day? What type of exercise are you doing? Are you getting enough sunlight, being out in nature, your feet hitting the ground, or you're getting grounded? Put your feet in the dirt, put it in the grass. I know snow's probably coming to some people soon, but like I live in Florida, so there's no snow here. But getting, being grounded, even if you have to get an earthing mat or something like that, there's lots of cool devices. But again, you can go outside and it's free, right? But these things do matter. They can help you be present. So if you're one of those listening and you said, God, girls, I have tried all of these things, it's not working. We need to look at what's going on in your day. What are you eating and what are your lifestyle habits that you're currently doing that we can tweak, that we can really work through that to set you up for success in this. So I'm really glad you brought that up. Micronutrient supplements, even, if we can't eat enough of whatever, then we can use some really nourishing and supportive supplements too. But yeah. So what other any other last tips you want to share about this?
Yes, one last
Yeah.
shameless plug, and we're so sorry we keep talking about the DNA nutrigenomics test.
Oh, so good though.
Um, it is so good.
Yeah.
Some people have that genetic advantage of exercise, which you mentioned, how
Mhm.
exercise improves our focus and our being able to be present. And if you have that genetic gene that boosts the BDNF hormone when you exercise, and if you know that and you can lean into that genetic advantage that you have of exercising and correlating it to being present, that would be a phenomenal biohack.
Yes.
If you don't like the word hack, but just being aligned with who you were made at a
Yeah.
cellular level. So
Mhm.
promoting that BDNF production, which makes your brain very happy through exercise is
Yeah.
a great thing to know.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you used the word biohack because why not learn how to biohack your own body through the DNA test? So we do the nutrigenomics DNA test, both Emily and I. And basically, you would get the package with us, and it includes a 1 hour interpretation where we go over everything. And at the end, we're helping you design like 2 or 3 goals to get started. What can you begin right now with the information that we just talked about? So it's been hugely beneficial. All of our clients who have done it have been sticking with the changes they've made, which is really interesting. There was even a study done on this of how the behavior was more apt to change because you're seeing it. You're seeing it in like black and white. You're like, okay, it's here. It says it right here. This is me. And it's in this booklet and it says this. So it must be true, which is, your DNA. We can't change our DNA. So that's really important to know that information. So we can do that for you as well. Just reach out to us and we'll get you hooked up. So I wanted to thank you. I want to thank you and also encourage you to pick one or two things to try out
Mm.
so that you can start working on being present and think of it as a gift for others as well. It's a gift for you to work on it for your own health and
Mm.
well-being, but imagine how you can teach others to be more present too, because they'll return the favor. They'll be more present for you. They'll hold space for
Mm.
you. So it's amazing. Any last words to share?
No.
Yeah. Well, if you like this episode, please hit the subscribe button, share it with other people, and until next time, go out and live your life with vitality. Bye for now.